the church, Elsa wrapped up her first lesson for the day and was genuinely impressed by how quickly the children picked everything up. She praised them for their effort and encouraged them to keep learning together, earning an enthusiastic response from the entire class. Just then, Oliver cheekily asked if she would bring treats again, only for another child to immediately tell him to stop. Elsa couldn't help smiling as she promised Oliver some snacks, but only after they finished working hard. The children eagerly agreed, already looking forward to their reward. After the lesson, the elderly sister warmly thanked Elsa for taking the time to teach the children. Elsa was simply happy to be useful, though she couldn't help noticing that the children would benefit from having more notebooks, quills, and other basic supplies. Before she could think much about it, the children came running toward her, eagerly asking her to join their game. Their excitement was impossible to resist, so Elsa gladly joined them, and the children cheered as they began playing hide and seek together. Walking home that evening, Elsa reflected on how she had quietly begun working as a teacher at the children's home without yet telling Julius. The hour was getting late, but her thoughts remained with the children and how eager they were to learn. Some excelled at calculations, others at reading, while some showed a natural talent for drawing. Elsa wanted to nurture those strengths while giving extra help where each child struggled, so she decided that once she returned home, she would finally discuss the idea with Julius. Lost in these thoughts, she suddenly bumped into someone on the street. Elsa quickly apologized, only to look up and realize she had run straight into Lord Jarmo. And just like that, Elsa's peaceful evening takes an unexpected turn. But before we continue, if you're enjoying Elsa and Julius's story, hit subscribe, because the next few moments are about to change everything. Jarmo quickly checked that Elsa was unharmed after their collision, while Elsa apologized for being so distracted. When he learned that she had been out alone because she was teaching at a children's home near the church, he was genuinely surprised. A duchess willingly spending her time educating children with no connection to her was certainly unexpected, but Elsa saw nothing remarkable about it. To her, she simply enjoyed being around the children and helping them learn. Meanwhile, Julius had grown increasingly restless while searching for his wife. His coachman narrowed down her usual destinations to either the gardening shop or the church, giving Julius a clear place to start looking. As Julius searched the streets for Elsa, he found himself thinking about how often she had been going out lately. Knowing her love for gardening, he assumed she was probably busy preparing the vegetables for the next season. He even imagined her proudly showing him a fresh harvest, and the thought brought a small smile to his face. He wondered how surprised she would be if he told her he had finished work early just to pick her up. But then he finally spotted her, and his expression changed instantly. Elsa was standing there with Jarmo. Julius's smile disappeared as an uneasy thought crossed his mind. Why was Jarmo with his wife? The instant Jarmo reached toward Elsa, Julius was hit by a wave of jealousy he couldn't control. The lively street suddenly felt lifeless, as if everything around him had faded into black and white. In that single moment, memories he had tried to bury came rushing back. His parents' betrayal, their bitter arguments, and the lonely years he spent watching their marriage crumble. Julius had always feared becoming like his father, but now a different fear gripped him. The fear that Elsa might choose someone else. He couldn't stand the thought. Meanwhile, Jarmo was doing nothing more than removing a tiny scrap of paper from Elsa's hair, left there after she had been playing with the children. With evening approaching, he offered to escort her to the carriage stand, and Elsa accepted without hesitation. From a distance, Julius watched them leave together, unable to move. For the first time, the man who always kept his emotions under control was completely overwhelmed by one terrifying realization. He had become afraid of losing his wife. Jarmo walks with Elsa and learns that Julius still doesn't know she's working as a teacher. Watching them, he realizes that despite looking like a happy married couple, something about their relationship feels off. Meanwhile, Julius becomes suspicious after seeing Jarmo with Elsa, wondering if the Pernilla family is trying to use her to gather information about him. He decides she may need guards, but then a more painful thought crosses his mind. What if Elsa actually wanted to meet Jarmo? What if they had already been seeing each other before this? For the first time, Julius finds himself struggling with jealousy and uncertainty. That night, Elsa returned home late and quietly checked on Julius, but his unusually cold response left her confused. She offered to bring him a light meal, only to be turned away. Hurt by the sudden distance, Elsa quietly retreated to her room, wondering if she had somehow upset him. She had believed that their relationship was finally growing closer, yet now she couldn't understand what had changed. Meanwhile, Julius remained alone with his thoughts, unable to shake the jealousy and fear that had been consuming him since he saw Elsa with Jarmo. The next morning, Elsa woke up determined to clear the air with Julius. She first tended to her vegetable garden and gathered a fresh harvest, hoping to share breakfast with him. But when she reached the kitchen, the chefs told her Julius had already left for work early. Her disappointment was obvious, though she simply accepted that she had harvested more than necessary and asked the cooks to preserve the extra vegetables. Even after missing him again, Elsa remained determined to find a chance to speak with her husband. After eating alone, Elsa quietly leaves the estate, instinctively heading for the one place where her mind usually finds peace, the garden. A maid notices her and follows, only to see Elsa preparing to work despite the cold. But the moment her hands touch the earth, Elsa feels herself calm down. Watering, weeding, pruning, thinning. Every task has a purpose, and every plant tells her exactly what it needs. For once, there are no confusing feelings, no uncertain words, and no fear of making a mistake. In the garden, Elsa knows exactly what she is supposed to do. Her maid wonders what she means by knowing what she is supposed to do, but Elsa brushes it aside with the simple belief that as long as there is food, it is possible to live very happily. Her maid can only agree, and Elsa soon realizes that the cold really is too harsh for gardening today. She decides to spend the day reading a book instead, leaving her maid quietly confused. Back in her room, Elsa picks up the very first gift Julius ever gave her. Holding it in her hands, she feels the uncertainty in her heart growing heavier. Meanwhile, Julius's mind was so consumed by his thoughts that even his usually flawless composure began to crack. He stumbled into a colleague and, moments later, absent-mindedly dipped his finger straight into the ink. Realizing he was too distracted to continue, he quietly stepped away for a short break, leaving his coworkers completely baffled. He had even gone home early the previous day, so they couldn't understand what had suddenly gotten into him. Yet somehow, despite being completely lost in thought, Julius's paperwork remained flawless as ever. Whatever was happening inside his head, his work was still the one thing he refused to let slip. Julius couldn't escape the image of Elsa standing beside Jarmo. It dragged him back to memories he had buried for years. The way his parents constantly sought affection elsewhere, the bitter arguments that filled their home, and the emptiness that followed when they finally stopped fighting and left him alone in that enormous house. He had almost forgotten what that loneliness felt like. Then Elsa came into his life and, without realizing it, slowly filled that emptiness. Now that he had grown dependent on her presence, the thought of losing her terrified him. He had entered their marriage believing there could never be love between them, so he kept his distance. But somewhere along the way, Elsa had become the person he relied on most. And now, even asking her what she truly felt seemed frightening, because Julius feared the answer might be the one thing he couldn't bear to hear. Just as Julius was drowning in his thoughts, an elderly sister from the church noticed his troubled expression and approached him. She hesitated, worried that she might be intruding, but Julius assured her that he was only taking a brief break. When he learned that she had come to the palace to request more funding for the children's home where she worked, his attention immediately sharpened. Unfortunately, she had gotten lost while trying to find the right office. Julius calmly offered to guide her there himself, and the grateful sister followed, unaware that her next words would lead Julius straight to Elsa. As they walked, the sister explained the difficult situation surrounding the children's home. The area was unsafe, they were severely understaffed, and their funding had been shrinking year after year, leaving the owner threatening to shut the place down. Having grown up there herself, the sister couldn't bear the thought of losing the home she considered family. Just when she felt completely helpless, a volunteer had appeared to teach the children. Her kindness had brought new hope to both the children and the staff, so the sister had come to the palace determined to secure more support for the home. Julius assured the sister that he would personally make sure her request for additional funding received proper attention. Relieved, she thanked him, then began praising the volunteer teacher who had brought so much warmth to the children. She casually revealed that the teacher was actually the wife of a ducal house and had a particular passion for growing vegetables, often talking with her about gardening. The moment Julius heard that, he immediately realized who she meant. The sister continued explaining that their conversations had even sparked her own interest in the palace gardens. But then she noticed Julius had suddenly stopped walking. His expression had completely changed, as though he had just uncovered something he never expected to hear. Julius was just about to confirm the teacher's identity when the scene shifts to Elsa. She was heading back to the children's home, still troubled by everything that had happened between her and Julius. But the moment she arrived, she froze at the sight of workers renovating the building. For a second, Elsa feared the worst and wondered if the home was being shut down. Before her worry could grow, the children came rushing toward her with huge smiles, proudly showing off stacks of brand new books and elegant quills. Elsa's anxiety instantly melted into relief as she realized something wonderful was happening instead. The sister then revealed that the children's home's ownership had changed just days earlier. Elsa was surprised, assuming the previous owner had simply stepped down, but the sister quickly introduced the new owner. Elsa turned around and froze. Standing before her was Julius. The sister asked Elsa to show him around. Still stunned, Elsa agreed to show him around. As Julius walked through the grounds with Elsa, he explained what had happened behind the scenes. His investigation had uncovered that the previous owner had been secretly misusing funds meant for the children's home. After being punished for the fraud, the property was taken over by House Royas, ensuring the children would have a secure future and the home could continue operating. Elsa was stunned by the scale of what Julius had done, especially since she had no idea he was behind the children's home's rescue. Realizing that he had discovered her secret, she sincerely apologized for not telling him about her volunteer work sooner. Elsa explained that Julius already supported her homeland and provided everything she could possibly need, so she had always wondered whether it was selfish to ask for even more. She simply couldn't find the right moment to bring it up. Julius gently told her not to feel indebted to him. Supporting charitable causes was part of a noble house's responsibilities, even if such generosity could also strengthen their political standing. Elsa softly calls him husband, but Julius tightens his fist, gathering the courage to finally speak. He admits that he is the one who owes her an apology. After seeing her in town, laughing and talking warmly with another man, he began to fear the worst. He wondered if she had fallen in love with someone else, and whether her frequent trips outside the estate were really to meet him. Those thoughts consumed him until he no longer knew how to face Elsa. Completely flustered by the misunderstanding, Elsa realizes what he has been thinking and desperately tries to clear it up. There was never another man. No secret romance, no hidden meetings, nothing of the sort. All she wants now is for Julius to believe her. Julius gently reached toward Elsa, his fingers brushing a loose strand of her hair as the jealousy he had been hiding finally surfaced. He admitted that he couldn't bear the thought of anyone else touching her, not even something as small as a lock of her hair. Elsa, completely flustered by the intensity in his words, could only promise to be careful. Before the moment could become any more awkward, the children came rushing over, eagerly calling Elsa to join them. One of them even dragged Julius along, turning the tense atmosphere into a warm and playful one. As Elsa watched her husband join the children, she couldn't explain the strange feeling spreading through her whenever he touched her. Her heart raced, her breathing grew unsteady, and for the first time, Elsa began wondering what was really happening to her feelings for Julius.